Hello everyone. Happy Tuesday. Um, I'm sorry, this is so late that I'm getting to you guys with this Titans review. I took my notes on Sunday and then life said, no. Um, so we're here. Finally, I can talk about it. This might be largely unedited because I really just want to get this out and get my thoughts out before Thursday. I just wanted to be noted. I'm lying like a mofo. This will be edited because I can't help myself. So here we go. We are talking about season 3, episode 9, Souls, which was not a bad episode. Not a bad episode. So we start off, strangely enough, with Bruce Wayne. Um, Why? I don't know. I still don't know. Like I said, this is the most jarring parts of the episode. Anything having to do with Bruce. We have not seen this man in a good 5 to 7 episodes. And the first time we see him, he's writing up his will and ready to end it all. How did we get to this point? You mean to tell me Bruce Wayne got to this point in his life all because he killed the Joker? I'm not saying that's not possible, but I feel like we should have had a little bit more of an explanation. So we cut to that. We cut to Themyscira. Um, and this is our first glimpse of Raven. First time seeing her. We're more than halfway through the season. And she is trying to resurrect Donna with her powers. She tries to do it during this whole like prayer thing that they're doing. And I'm like, Raven, please. And so after that happens, she gets called out while she's training with but a fellow Amazonian. And basically during this scene, Raven is just complaining. Oh, Themyscira is not a paradise. I hate being here. All I do is train. What you're doing isn't working. La-di-da-di-da. And while I understand where Raven's frustration and impatience is coming from to a degree, it also seems like Raven just has a lack of respect for Themyscira and the way that they do certain things. Because at the end of the day, Donna is one of their own. So of course they're going to take certain measures of their own to bring her back. And like, you can't really be upset with that. Like, you could at least respect what they're doing, and it just seems like that's not happening. So we cut from that, and we cut to our first glimpse of the underworld, which is black and white, very fitting. I love that it's black and white. Tim Drake wakes up and realizes he's on his way, and he's like, well, we're not doing that. No, ma'am. So he jumps off the train, and Donna follows him because they run into each other for a second. And they're approached by ghouls, which are essentially these dark creatures who will harness your soul if they get close enough. Now, you would think with a description like that, they would be a bit more intimidating, a bit more threatening, menacing. And for me, that's not the case. I don't know what it is about them. Maybe it's their look. Maybe it's the fact that their powers are reduced to energy pulses coming from their hands. But they're just not threatening at all. I wish they had done a little bit more with them so I could have felt like there were some stakes. But that's just me. So they're fighting the ghouls and then they're rescued by Hank. And it was kind of good to see Hank again. I'm not gonna lie. All the shit I've said about him, and it was good to see him. So we'll get back to that. We cut to what's it called? Themyscira. I don't know why I had a brain fart. We cut back to Themyscira. Raven is once again trying to resurrect Donna with her powers, and this time around she's caught by Lydia, which produces a whole myriad of consequences because she disrupts the ritual as a result of her actions. And Raven is like really unapologetic about this, and I don't know what it is, but it really bothered me that she was so unapologetic. Like, you just messed up everything that they were doing because you were impatient instead of working with them to help bring her back. So Lydia's dishing out her punishment, and Raven tries to argue, well, I shouldn't be punished because you're afraid of me and my powers. And I'm conflicted because she raises a good point, which I'll get to in a second. But it's also like, Raven, you're not being punished because they're afraid of you. You're being punished because you are completely disregarding and disrespecting the rituals they've set up to help bring Donna back. Even if you don't feel it's working, that's not really for you to decide. Like, this is something that they do, and you're just completely being ignorant towards them. And you wonder why you keep getting caught in the shit that you're doing. And then she goes on to call the Amazons cowards. And I'm just like, where did that come from? That is completely baseless and ridiculous. Because what are they cowering from? They're trying to save your friend, their sister. So how are they cowards? Because they won't embrace you and your powers, even though you've gone out of your way to disobey and completely disrupt rituals. Come on. But to that same token, I don't know what Lydia was expecting. Like, Raven came there for the specific purpose to resurrect Donna. Now, obviously, she was going to use her powers to do so. So, Lydia, this was your opportunity, as well as the rest of the Amazons, for you to sort of take Raven in and help her harness her powers and maybe even utilize it a little bit in what you've got going on and trying to resurrect Donna. And if that's something that you weren't going to do, that's fine. Why even let Raven into Themyscira in the first place? If you knew you didn't want her messing around with Donna. Like, come on. It's like, I don't know. So we cut from that and we're back in the underworld, and Donna and Hank are catching up. And this is sort of where the plot kicks in. Hank talks about this bridge between the underworld and Earth. And if you cross the bridge, everything's hunky-dory. So he's trying to convince Donna to, get Tim Drake and they can all go. And she's like, I'm not doing that because I'm pretty much content with where I am. I've accepted my fate. I'm good. Like, my guy, I died at a carnival. And I love that bit of self-awareness. I think that's the writers apologizing for the way that Donna went out, because it did suck. Like, and for me, it wasn't even the fact that she died at a carnival. You died via electrocution, something that you really should be invulnerable to for the most part. And then in context of the situation, you died for no reason. And I think the writers knew that they fucked up, and that's why they're bringing her back. So Hank is like, yeah, that's bullshit. Like, you're lying. And after the ghouls come in and attack at the diner and Donna shields Tim Drake and all that nonsense, Hank is like, yeah, it's clear you're not done being a hero. So we're going to the bridge. Let's go. And Donna agrees. And then there's this moment where before they leave, Tim sort of has this epiphany that he felt like he went out a coward. He has this moment where he's struggling with his self-identity and worth, because he's always had this one-dimensional view of what it is to be a hero. And I really did love this moment. I loved when Donna, I don't want to say comforted him, but she came to him with facts. Like, being a hero isn't about never being scared. I mean, I think that's the most important part, because it covers something bigger, which is vulnerability. And he, he's learning, he's opening up to learning how to be a hero and how to be a smart hero, because what he did was dumb. The trio make it to the bridge, and of course the ghouls interfere. And this is what I'm talking about when I say that they're not that threatening, because it just seems like one hit, they're gone. They're hitting them with bottles and swords, and one hit, that's it. It feels like you're playing a video game and you're fighting mindless minions. And I hate that. I want some challenge, and I wanted to see that, and we didn't get that. So in the midst of the fight, the bridge separates, leaving Tim and Hank on one side and Donna on the other side. And, Donna's side is the place that they need to be. So Tim jumps and Donna saves him from certain death with her lasso that came from plot convenience. And Hank decides to stay behind and fight the ghouls so they can go back. And I was like, that's so bittersweet. Because Donna could have easily just grabbed Hank with the whip, like easily, but she didn't. But also, it was clear Hank was not going back. There was no way he could go back. Your body was blown to bits. Where would your soul have gone? That would have been a mess. Hank has his closure. He comes back from the bridge and we see his brother, who we haven't seen since, I believe, season 1. And he meets back up with Donnie and they are now Hawk and Dove in the underworld. And I'm not going to lie, that was a great ending for Hank. I thought this was a very nice closure for his character, but it's bittersweet. All the shit I've said about Hank, and the one thing I've been consistent with, Hank and Dawn should have had their own show. It's clear they have so much potential and a lot of the writing power goes into these two characters. You should have taken that and put it on a separate show. But now we're not going to see that because you've axed off one of the duo. And I feel bad for people who are hardcore fans of Hank and Dove. I feel bad because now that's never going to come to fruition ever. And if there's one thing that those two characters deserved, it was to really just have their own show where they could be in, develop amongst themselves. So Tim and Donna come back to life. That's a whole thing. Then again, we end the episode with Bruce and he is attempting suicide. Like, how did we get to this point? He sets the manor on fire and he's laying on the ground. And then Donna swoops in from nowhere, saves his life. I'm like, wait a minute. Donna, did you have a aha moment on your way back to Earth and you just knew that Bruce was in danger? How did you know he was here? Hello? So we end with that. We end with Raven finding out, Donna's alive and everything. And honestly, it was a good episode. It was. I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. But I'm really annoyed that you guys spent more than half the season not showing Raven. You spent more than half the season not showing her because she was working on bringing Donna back. Just to come on this episode and undermine her entire subplot. You writers are really talented because I don't understand. Her whole purpose was to help bring Donna back. Donna comes back and it isn't because of anything Raven did. It isn't because of anything the Amazons did. It's because of shit Donna did in the underworld. Like, there's no payoff. There's no payoff. I wish that there would have been moments in the episode where Raven's powers were seeping through to the underworld as a way to try and contact Donna. But it wasn't working. Like, I wish we would have gotten that. And it would have been so cool because the underworld was in black and white. You could have really did it with the budget, but... And I'm worried... because we're more than halfway through the season and you chose now, episode 9, with 4 episodes left in the season. You chose now to break away from the main plot and focus on this subplot when you could have did this way earlier in the season. So now we have 4 episodes left and I don't know, like, what are they going to do? What are they going to do for real? I don't know, guys. It's a mess. But anyways, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Again, so sorry this is late. Hopefully it won't be like that this week. I will catch you guys later. Bye.